or chemistry at the +2 level to be able to pursue psychology. Even with a background in, say, commerce, with a background in arts, you will be able to pursue a degree, undergrad degree in psychology.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Swati. The next question that, again, a lot of people have is what are the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist? Are they both the same? Can we use the terms, interchangeably? So what exactly is the difference?
That's a very good question, Neha. So the thing is that when we talk about mental health, there are two different sets of mental health professionals. We talk about the psychologist and the psychiatrist, and we often hear about both of them working with individuals who may have certain mental health problems or psychiatric disorders, and that is why there is this confusion in people's mind. So the thing is that psychiatrists are people who have pursued their MBBS degree after their +2, and then after a MBBS degree, a lot of people go into specific specialization. So you could go into cardiology, you could go into gastroenterology. So one such specialization is psychiatry. So if an MBBS doctor pursues this specialization of psychiatry, then he would go on to work with, again, individuals who have mental health problems and would be called as a psychiatrist. On the other hand, we have psychologists who have pursued an undergrad degree in psychology. We have done a master's again in psychology, right? Okay. And then start working with individuals who have mental health problems. So what happens over here is that at the end, you may say that all of them are working with people who have mental health problems and treating them. But when it comes to their approach towards helping these individuals, then that is also one place where they differ. So psychiatrists would have more of a medical approach, and psychologists would have more of a psychological approach in terms of treating individuals. Another key difference would be that because psychiatrists have a background in MBBS, they are able to prescribe medication to individuals who may have psychiatric disorders, and that is something a psychologist will not be able to do. Right? Ideally, it would be great if there is an individual who has some kind of a mental health problem and if they need the help of a psychiatrist and psychologist, then both of them would work together to help this individual out. So that would be an ideal setup. But these are the key differences between psychiatrists and psychologists.
Okay, yeah, so now I'm clear on my basics. The next question is, whenever we talk about psychology, all of it sounds very interesting. But what is it that we exactly study in psychology? What are the subjects like?
Okay. So, yeah, as you rightly said, psychology sounds very interesting. So, very simply put, psychology is the study of human behavior and the underlying cognitive mechanisms and emotions and biological mechanisms for these behaviors. Right? Going into some of the subjects that you would or papers that you would study if you're pursuing a course in psychology. So generally you start off with a lot of basics in psychology, right? General psychological topics, but then you would also go on to study subjects like, say, social psychology, where you're trying to understand how, say, one individual can influence a group, or how a group can influence an individual's behavior, right? Okay. You're studying group dynamics, you're studying how, even at a larger level, how the society, how an individual behaves with respect to certain social situations and so on. Then you could also have a paper, say, in health psychology. So health psychology would be how, individuals with certain health problems, how is their behavior with respect to that? How could, what's the connection between, what is the mind-body connection, and how can one influence the other? The other papers would include, some personality theories that you would study. You would have paper in cognitive psychology. You would have paper in child psychology and so on, right? So these are just a few papers that you would end up studying in psychology.
Okay, great. So let us say I have taken psychology at my undergrad level. Like, what are the career paths that are available to me after my, after studying psychology?
Right. So, psychology actually as a discipline has grown immensely since its inception. And there is one of the leading bodies in psychology called the American Psychological Association, which itself has about 54 divisions, under the larger umbrella of psychology, right? So that means that there are a number of subspecializations that you could possibly pursue after having completed your undergraduate in psychology. So some of these specializations could include clinical psychology, counseling psychology, child psychology. Some of the newer ones could include, say, sports psychology or forensic psychology, and so on, right? So there are many such, you could have again a specialization, say industrial or organizational psychology or occupational psychology as it's now come to be known as. So there are a lot of such specializations that you could pursue at a master's level after having completed your undergraduation. Now, how do you go about choosing that particular specialization completely depends on you as an individual.
That was going to be my next question, and you actually did read my mind, I feel.
So, what happens is that after you have built a foundation in psychology, after you have, understood, have studied some basic papers in psychology, what you will also understand is that there could be some specific area. So psychology is a very application oriented field, right? So as long as any area where there are human beings, you can definitely apply psychology. And that opens up each and every activity that human beings are engaged in, right? So you could have some very niche area as well, and something very generic as well, that some kind of say counseling psychology that could be applicable to everyone in the world, or school psychology that's again restricted to one specific area. Industrial psychology is talking about again limited to one area, right? So what happens is that depending on your interest and in which area that you would like to pursue and go further, depending on, say, if you are a kind of individual who is actually interested in working in the corporate world, you can always pursue a course in industrial psychology. On the other hand, you would like to work with children, then what you can do is that you can pursue a master's or specialization in child psychology and so on. So again, it completely depends on your interest as an individual, which are the group of people that you would like to work with in future, and you would you see yourself working for a longer period of time in that, and then you can choose a specialization based on that.
So basically, it's your interest that determines what our specializations could be and what is that we want to study. Okay. So, in your opinion, what are the essential qualities that are imperative to be a good psychologist? And how can I know whether I possess these qualities or not?
That is I would say a difficult question to answer and an easy one at the same time. So, the first thing that I would say is necessary to be a psychologist and pursue a long-term career in psychology would be to have a keen interest in human beings, in human behavior. Okay, because that is what we are studying in psychology, right? Now, I am sure all of us would like to say that we are interested in human behavior. I would like, when I say interest in human behavior, just this curiosity about why are people the way they are, why is it they behave certain way, what is the underlying motivation behind certain actions that they carry out and so on. And I'm sure all of us have asked these questions about people around us, right? Say our family members, our friends and so on, right? But this is a normal level of curiosity that anyone would have. Does your curiosity, go beyond that? Are you interested in the behavior of an individual who is a stranger as well, or at a larger level as well, someone you absolutely do not know? Because their behavior is not going to affect you directly. I understand why I'm curious about, say, why my sister behaves in a certain way, why my father or mother behave in a certain way, because their actions affect me. And I would like to be able to predict and understand their behavior so that I am able to interact with them more effectively. But does it go beyond that interest, that inclination, right? So, if you do feel that you're interested in that, you can definitely start off on the journey of studying psychology, right? The other key characteristic I think that you need to be a good psychologist would be to have empathy, right? As a psychologist, when we are trying to understand other people's frame of mind, their perspective, we need to be able to see the world from how they may be looking at the world, right? And that level of empathy will definitely help you in the next stop of trying to help this individual through whatever problem that you may be having. Psychologists work in a number of different fields, and at the end of the day, it is a field where you're definitely trying to help out individuals to be better versions of themselves, to improve, to work through their motivation, to fulfill their potential, or if they're having certain mental health problems, to work through all of those things, right? So you're not to be able to do all of that if I want to understand them and I'm able to be empathetic towards them. That will definitely help me in any kind of plan or intervention that I have towards helping them out. So I think empathy is definitely a key trait of being a good psychologist. Adding to that, one trait that would definitely make you help you in being a good psychologist, and that, as you said, how is it that you ascertain whether you have these qualities to be a good psychologist or not, is a certain level of self-awareness.
Okay.
See, I will not say that all of us can know everything about even ourselves. It may not be possible. But are you willing to get started on that journey to know more about yourself, to look at yourself, and be open to the fact that yes, all of us are human beings. We may also have our shortcomings, but we are able to work through that. We are open to all of this understanding and any kind of change that it may have, and how this level of understanding, this level of awareness can influence my actions. Because as we work with individuals, if we forget that our experiences also will affect our interactions with them, then we become very limited, and it actually prevents us from being a good psychologist. So I would say these are some of the traits. Obviously, there are a lot more that, as you go into the field, there's a specific set of skills that you would require. But if you're at least starting off with, some basic level of all of these traits, and you're willing to work on yourself, then you can definitely get started on a career in psychology. Because again, I will not say that all of us, before having started a career in psychology, we were highly empathetic, or we had great level of self-awareness, right? But we did want to make that effort towards that, and then it's a very continuous journey that all psychologists are part of, and you will continue to work on yourself the entire time that you are in psychology. So even now, I would say I am also trying to get more and more awareness about myself, build on my empathy and compassion levels. So just that, if you start off with that, you can definitely, it will keep you motivating you, and you can become a great psychologist.
Yeah, I think that are very valid points. So can we briefly sum it up? So first thing you said was that we should have a keen and a genuine interest in other human beings. The second point you said was empathy.
Yes.
Able to understand what your fellow beings are feeling, and be able to understand the situation and things from their perspective. Third thing that you mentioned was to have a certain degree of self-awareness as well, and to accept yourself and have a good understanding about your own emotions. I think that is a fairly valid point. If you understand yourself, then you can also help others in becoming better human beings. Yeah. So moving on to the next question. Will I be able to set up my own practice after my graduation? This is a question I think a lot of students have, because they just, after they have completed their graduation, they want to kind of start working and, start earning money. So will I be competent enough to start my own practice immediately after graduation?
So let me just clarify. When you say that to be able to set your own practice, then you mean that be able to counsel individuals, to be able to provide therapy to individuals who may have some kind of psychological problems, right? So first, let me start by saying that counseling psychology, clinical psychology, is again a specialization within psychology. There are a lot of other specializations that I've already mentioned that are available, right? Now, generally, when we talk about private practice, it is where people are trying to provide some kind of therapeutic help to individuals who may have psychological problems. At an undergrad level, students will not be given, will not have the number of courses to have that in-depth knowledge in psychology, and also the training on certain skills that will help them give therapy to individuals who have psychological problems, right? Irrespective of whether someone has done an honors course. Even in an honors course at an undergrad level, what happens is that you are taught a number of different subjects, right? So instead of 4 or 6 subjects in psychology, you may be taught 4 other subjects in psychology. but all of these subjects are taught at the level or standard of an undergraduate student. And again, the depth of knowledge is not given. The training to be able to give therapy is also not provided at an undergraduate level. So it is so anyone having completed a BA degree in psychology will not be able to set up their own private practice. It's only after having completed their master's degree will they have the training and the knowledge to be able to provide any kind of therapeutic help. And again, they have to have that kind of training and have to have completed a course from that institution that is giving a course in counseling, clinical psychology, and so on.
Okay. Yeah. So another question that generally a lot of students have is, in case I'm not pursuing psychology honors and we are studying other subjects along with psychology, the kind of pattern that exists in the Telangana state and then the Andhra Pradesh state, there along with psychology we study different subjects. So what are the other subjects, which I can take up as minor or I can study with psychology, which will enrich my study of psychology and which will, deepen the study of psychology?
So psychology generally, if it's considered to be part of the social sciences and the arts stream, right? So in any of the social sciences subject, you are studying human beings, but you are studying it from different perspectives. So even if say you're studying sociology, you are trying to understand the society, which is again composed of human beings, and you're trying to understand certain phenomena at a social level. The approach towards studying this will be completely different. Now, you may find some similarities with sociology and social psychology. There may be certain concepts that could be similar, but again, the approach towards studying that would be completely different, because in social psychology, you would be coming from an individual perspective to study that particular phenomena, and in sociology, when we're looking at more of a larger societal level context and approach towards studying the same phenomena. Something similar in economics as well, right? You have again a specialized, super specialized field called behavioral economics, where you're trying to understand economic behavior, again, individuals' economic behavior, and what are the factors that could influence that, right? So, there are a lot of different subjects in social sciences that could definitely add to, or that could enrich your understanding of psychology. But again, to which specific social science subject you should pursue, that again completely depends on your interest, because you may decide that you see, because at the end of the day, if you say you are interested in economics, and you are able to understand those subjects really well, and you have also pursued your psychology, you can always combine the two and pursue a master's in something that kind of combines these two interests. On the other hand, if there is someone like me who was never interested in economics and does not understand the head or tails of it, so for me to pursue a minor in economics would not have made any sense, because I would not be able to combine the two in any way, right? So it completely depends on your interest. You could always pursue something like political science as well, and you have master's courses in political psychology as well. So this is something that you can combine to have your own area of expertise, and build on that as well. So that I would suggest that choosing your minor would depend completely on the kind of interest that you have in other subjects.
We've been having some questions. So what we'll do is we'll try to answer all of these questions towards the end of the session. First, we'll try to finish with the question that we already have at hand. And if any of the participants have any kind of questions, you can just type it out, and we will read out those questions and Dr. Swati will answer it for you. My next question is, there are a lot of students who want to pursue their masters or their higher education in psychology, but they don't want to do that in India because they feel there are a lot of different courses that are available, or maybe the opportunities in psychology are different. So they want to pursue their masters and PhD abroad. So what are the pros and cons of doing your pursuing your higher education out of India?
As you said, that rightly said, that there are a lot of courses that are available, a lot of specialized courses that are available outside of India, and it's still have not got a lot of support in India, so you will not find universities offering the same courses as some of the courses, some of the other universities outside. As I mentioned, say something like in political psychology and so on. Or even there could be one or two courses that very few universities or colleges in India provide, right? So the thing is that yeah, there are a lot of great universities outside of India where you can definitely go on to pursue and choose to study over there. That is completely your individual choice. The advantages would be that yes, if you're going to a great university, the standard of education would be great. The kind of experience that you get from these individuals in that specialized area would be immense. And now, but the next step would be that where is it that you would like to go with this particular course? Would you like to come back to India? Would you like to stay back over there? Because if you're planning to stay back over there, you may definitely find a lot more opportunities. One of the challenges that I would just like to highlight that may come up is that you can definitely come back to India after having completed that course and again pursue that career in that specialized area. The challenge would be that because psychology as a discipline, yes, it's well known, but it's only now that it is the awareness about it is spreading outside of a limited group of people, right? Outside of limited areas as well, such as metros and so on. So it's moving on to the other smaller towns. Now, this is again, most of the awareness related to psychology comes from, say, counseling or clinical psychology and so on. The other specialized fields, people may not be aware of that. They may not think that psychology could be relevant over there. So if you do come back with some kind of degree in that, having to get a very specific job opportunity in that area may be a little difficult, right? So you may find it a little challenging to create and carve out that area for yourself and build up on that. But again, it also is a source of great opportunity because you could be the pioneer in setting up that specialized area in India because there is no one else who is doing that, right? So you can always look at it. It depends on your perspective. You want to see it as a challenge or an opportunity. You can always work outside, sometimes come back and do a lot of things over here as well. And again, it depends on the specific kind of specialization that you are looking at. Right? If you are looking at, say, counseling, clinical psychology, you could definitely have equal levels of opportunities in India and abroad as well. You want to complete your PhD and go into research, again, the same level of opportunities would be there. So, some other courses like child psychology and so on, again, there are a lot of opportunities already available. So you could definitely come back. It may be easier for you to actually start practicing over here. But if you're looking at some very, very niche areas in psychology, then you may have a little, you may not find opportunities as readily available as others, right? But psychology is definitely a growing field in India. There is immense potential in this particular field. And so, you can definitely grow a lot. If you're just starting off in your career, there is a lot of scope and you can definitely grow and, reach, great heights in your chosen field.
I think that's a very positive, a sign that you've given that so many students are interested in psychology, and then there's a lot of potential and scope in the area of psychology. My next question is there any professional body for psychology with whom the students need to register themselves in order to practice?
So when you're talking about professional bodies in psychology, so there are a number of professional bodies for psychologists, and so to name a couple of them, you have the National Association of Psychologists, you have the Indian Association of Applied Psychologists, you have the Indian Association of Clinical Psychologists, and so on. These are again national level bodies. You also have certain bodies at the state level and the regional level as well. When it comes to some kind of regulatory body, if you're talking about in psychology, that certifies you as you would probably find in Western countries, then we have one particular body called the Rehabilitation Council of India that does take on members and would scrutinize